for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You know, as I'm sitting here listening to this hearing, I'm reminded of my favorite playwright, William Shakespeare. And he wrote my favorite play, Julius Caesar. And if you all recall, you're familiar with Shakespeare, when Julius Caesar's walking through the Roman gardens with Brutus and Mark Antony, there's this woman that wails, "Beware the Ides of March." Well, I'm here to tell you we need to beware of the Ides of our banking regulators. And nowhere is this more poignant than with our pawnbrokers. Let me give you an example. Here are our pawnbrokers who are the main, almost final lifeline to the unbanked and underbanked. And because of this overregulation, because of this extension through the Bank Secrecy Act and money laundering, all of a sudden, to de-risk, they are closing the bank accounts of the very people who are there to give lifeline to the most underbanked and unbanked by making the institution in our financial system unbanked and underbanked themselves. Now, why is this? Can you all tell me why these banks are taking away and closing down the banking accounts of businesses that have been loyal customers and have had great relationships, no problems? Why? And what must we do to stop it?
Speaking as a regulator,
I really want to hear from all of you on this because my Shakespearean moment would be meaningless if we do not get to the bottom of this, because March is rapidly approaching.
It's very close. Well, we regulate pawn dealers in my department, so I have great familiarity with the services that they provide. And I just keep coming back to, I think it's misunderstanding. Data will ultimately be our friend. You know, risk can be, I think we as regulators have to make sure we're talking to the institutions that we regulate. And when we talk about risk, we talk about risk as something that you mitigate, something that you understand and that you process and that you mitigate. And as state regulators, we're trying to give our institutions the tools to do that through our BSA AML self-assessment tool.
Yeah,
so
but the
they'll
issue,
understand that and then make better decisions.
Yeah, the issue is here we are in Congress, endued with the power of the people to do something about this sort of thing. And we need you all to tell us, do we need to pass a law to prohibit these banks from just arbitrarily closing down an account of a pawnbroker who's servicing these low-income people who have no other choice until they do something? I mean, we got to do something here.
Yeah, Congressman.
What must we do?
Yeah, I think, Congressman, it's H.R. 2706 really that needs to continue the march toward the president's desk, because these banks that you're referring to, they don't want to shut off customers either, but they're being pressured to do so by overzealous regulators, or they have been historically. Our hope is that the regulatory environment will continue. But as you well know, having the hub of the payments industry in Georgia,
right,
our industry is desperate to serve those merchants that want us as service providers. We don't want to shut anybody off, but in many cases, regulators are forcing that to happen, and that's what we need to have come to an end.
And as Democratic chairman of the FinTech caucus, you know how vitally I'm concerned. And we need to prohibit this. We need to send a very loud message to the banking community. And you all who are banking regulators or state regulators need to stop this, put something in place, and stop cutting off, because then when you cut off the banking account, you got nothing. I mean, even with me, can you imagine if the bank cut me off for just as a citizen, or you're out there in no man's land? Yes, sir. I think, Ms. Arso, yeah, I think you were next.
Thank you. I think there is a moral hazard between banks and regulators about how to tackle risk. It's you can put they put the blame on banks. The banks put the blame on regulators. The fact of the matter is that there is a problem, a serious problem of transparency and accountability on both sides, and that's what needs to be tackled at this point. And the instrument exists.
Mr. Baxter, could you, because the pawn shops, real quick, thank you, Mr. Chairman, because the pawn shops are not in this by themselves. Your money machines are in this same vice, am I right?
Yes, sir.
And what do you think we need to do?
Well, I do think that there are overzealous regulators out there. I do think that there was a misconception in business in general as to what businesses need to be targeted. In our industry, as I said, there was vetting that is done with each and every one that wants to enter into this business, own and operate ATM machines.
Well,
The individual vetting includes background checks, which we do a U.S. criminal report, an OFAC report, a Patriot Act search, watch list, driver's license search, bankruptcies, liens, and judgments, Secretary of State filings, U.S. sex offenders, personal credit report, business report. All of this is done through the corporation, Microbuilt, and my situation that my sponsoring bank highly recommended that our corporation use. We have
Thank you.
followed that to the T.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Mr. Chair, for giving that little extra minute. And I'd like to submit this record from the National Pawnbrokers Association to the record.
Without objection, and we appreciate the gentleman's passion on this issue as well.
Thank you, sir.
With that, we go to the gentleman from Tennessee, Mr. Kustoff, recognized.
Thank you. My time has expired.
Gentleman, time has expired, and we are out of witnesses, but I do have a couple of follow-up comments and questions here. For the record, in a question, Mr. Rothfuss indicated that pawnbrokers were included on the FDIC high-risk list. Let the hearing record reflect that the pawnbrokers were not included on that list. With regards to a comment Mr. Ellison made, I would like to clarify that he made something to the effect that he didn't see any coordination or sort of personal inclinations of the DOJ and FDIC folks with regards to Operation Choke Point. I would just point out that there are oversight committee reports on both FDIC and DOJ showing personal motives with documented emails between individuals in those agencies that there were personal motives and there were personal actions taken as a result of that.